Hello, wild ones. I've been making these recycled stars and some bigger recycled collages over the holidays, so I wanted to show you this technique. I learned this glue recipe. It's a really old style glue with cornstarch from Rosanna Makes, and I've linked her video in the description. The first thing I did was take some off tears of tissue and just covered that kind of cardboard open edge so that it would be more firm. It's not a super precise craft, but it does stick to your fingers, so be prepared to be a little sticky. I found the cornstarch glue, though, was way less intense cleanup than like a gel matte medium or something like that. And obviously it's much cheaper because you're just making it out of a few tablespoons of cornstarch on the stovetop. So I continue to just use my off pieces to cover kind of every surface, but I'm not too worried about the face surfaces, knowing I'm going to go over those with colorful papers. But I really wanted to get those edges covered up. See how that looks covered versus non-covered. It's definitely worth the little bit of extra work to get them covered up. My favorite tool to apply glue with is that wall trimmer that you just saw me use. They're from hardware stores and they're meant for painting. The other thing I found with the stars, tearing the tissue where it needed to fold over just allowed for a really smooth application. And I really liked kind of bending it around and having it go from the front to the back of the project. I'm planning on hanging these on ribbons. So I do think you're going to see both sides, because I'm going to hang them off of a fishing pole in front of my enchanted forest.
What are you doing?
Mantle. Sorry. So I'm using I like to use up my scraps at the end of the year if possible. So I do a lot of little projects full of scraps. This is a old paper towel that I used to clean up silk dye with. And then I had a bigger amount of silk dye left over in one color. So I just dip dyed the whole paper towel or kitchen towel. And what's cool about kitchen towel is you can usually separate the layers. So you get like 3 sheets or 2 sheets for one effort. And because I was using Dynaflow, I could actually separate it after the fact. So I have 2 pieces of really cool fodder paper, collage paper. And this star is pretty much just kitchen towel. Maybe with a little bit of other stuff on it, but mainly it's this one piece of recycled towel. Just so fun. I really love the look of, there's little dots on this bamboo towel, so the dots like held the paint differently than the other bit, because I just literally like dip it. This is on my way out of the studio at night, so dipped it, hung it over something to dry, and came back in the morning. I was like, wow, this actually turned out really pretty. So that one's done, and I tried really hard to just let these be super wonky shapes too, not perfect stars. I really wanted it to look almost primitive. This is a craft that Victorians would have done. What I'm interested in is the spun cotton techniques that Rosanna does. And I'm hoping to find those supplies deeply buried in my studio and do some of those for the holiday time as well. So hopefully I'll have a video coming out on that. When I was cutting for this paper, which is a little bit more dimensional, I really intentionally cut in a little bit and then made a cut in towards the inside of that angle so I could just fold it around. And I thought the yellow one just looked a little flat compared to everything else, so I thought it needed some oomph. And this paper is definitely full of oomph. This is just deli paper, what you'd wrap a sandwich in, and it is decorated with a Montana ink marker, just with some doodles I had sitting around. And I love how the paper on the back looks really funky. I'm going to add some to the middle, but I thought that it actually looks so interesting just being folded over and not knowing what would come of the shapes and things. So that was cool. A happy accident. And when you glue it in, the paper pretty much becomes translucent, so that yellow comes through really nicely. I love adding these little scraps in ways that really enhance the pattern. I'm just kind of looking to see if there's a place I can hook the pattern together and make an interesting shape. I love how this mark making is littles and bigs, so really dynamic shapes and sizes. I strongly encourage when you start making your own papers to really think about scale and things. And I didn't intentionally put that right in the center so it wouldn't look like a bullseye. But I love how these stiff cardboard stars really look dimensional in the end. These other two I'm going to hold up in a minute are made from more like cereal box paper or cardboard, and they're a little floppy. They're not quite as thick as I'd like, but I do think they're beautiful. Those are both gel plate prints. That's the kitchen roll. Wild ones, if you're liking this content, please like and subscribe and take care of yourself, each other, and the earth.